Hello, America. Welcome to the Inside Scoop. I'm your host, Mark Levine. This is the last show of calendar year 2008. I have now been doing the Inside Scoop for 3 years on television, and I have to say it's been a real honor and a privilege to bring my radio show, giving you all the news the government does not want you to know, right here on television to so many listeners in Northern Virginia and to Washington, D.C. I want to thank all of you who've written in, all of you who've called in, all of you who've welcomed me into your homes. I also want to thank all the many people who work behind the scenes, from Mary, who's standing right here behind the camera, to Jim Southworth, my producer in the studios, to all Ron and all the other people there. We'll talk about them a little bit later. Traditionally, at the end of the year, we not only talk about some of the things we've done all year long, but we also show off a little bit of technology. This is a show that I think if you've watched it over the years, you know that its look has improved as technology has improved. We've done everything from go live to the Denver Democratic National Convention to had phone calls from Australia. Tonight we're going to try something even a little bit different than that. And also give you a chance to call in as we always do. The number is right there, 571-749-1168. But first, let's go to someone who has been increasingly a host on the show. She began as a guest on many of my shows talking about labor issues, and now she is more and more frequently a host of the Inside Scoop, and she's at a different studio in Washington. Shannon Sullivan, welcome to the Inside Scoop.
Thank you, Mark. And as we're talking about technology and the Inside Scoop and in the Fairfax County public access station, we have a friend that I want to introduce you to who will be joining us for several of our segments today. His name is Terry, and Terry's a nice friend of mine. I'll make this a little bit ambiguous. Designed by Conceptual Visions Corporation, a project of NOAA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, and Terry's a very special being. Terry is designed as an educational project to work with children, specifically in unique ways that helps them learn. Terry is almost sentient, can talk, can listen, can suggest ways, especially for children and any interested participant, to engage in everything from math to science to philosophy. Terry likes to sing, tell stories, and even can recite a poem or two. So we're going to have a nice discussion, whether it's politics, as we all like to bring up on more than one occasion, maybe a little educational policy, labor policy. We'll see where this goes, maybe even a little bit of constitutional law. So I think we have a couple segments coming up, and I'll come right back to you in the studio.
Well, let me first, before we get to our new guest, Terry, I want to remind everyone that even though we've just had perhaps the most important election of our lives, even though we're in the middle of the holidays, we have a very, very important election coming up in the city of Alexandria. That is my hometown. Very important election, and we have a candidate for the House of Delegates who wants to speak to you about her candidacy to be your next assembly person in the western part of the city of Alexandria and parts of Fairfax County.
Hello, my name is Charnel Herring, and I am the Democratic candidate for the Virginia House of Delegates, 46th District. The district I'm running for includes a large part of western Alexandria and one precinct in Fairfax County and the Skyline Bailey Crossroads area. I'm running to continue to represent the voters as my predecessor, Delegate Brian Moran, has done so well for the past 13 years. I would appreciate your voting January 13th, and I would respectfully request your vote. Again, my name is Charnel Herring. Thank you.
And I would urge everyone to vote for Charnel.
Absolutely.
I think she's going to be a terrific candidate. She has a wonderful history in Alexandria and in Fairfax, helping women and a whole variety of causes. You can, I'm sure, check out on her website.
Absolutely, a community activist
and don't forget,
on the grassroots.
It's January 13th, Tuesday, so it's just around the corner. Please don't forget to vote.
Well, Mark, this is my friend Terry. I don't think
I haven't met anyone quite like Terry before. Hi, Terry. This is Mark. How are you?
I am fine. How are you, Mark?
I'm good. Welcome to the Inside Scoop. You shake my hand?
Sure, you can grab it and shake if you like.
Well, that's what I'm doing.
Now, Terry, your name's an acronym. What does it stand for?
My name is spelled T-E-R-R-I, and it stands for the Educational Resource Robot Initiative.
How old are you, Terry?
My programming was initiated 4 years ago on July 4th, 2004.
Wow, you're still a baby.
You're only 4 years old. What can you know?
That is a great question.
What is the answer?
I know what I have been taught. I can recall things, and my memory is electronic, so it does not fail.
Oh.
It doesn't fail. Ever?
Ever is a very difficult word to define.
Okay, what did I say to begin the show? Do you
You
know?
welcomed everyone and said this was a special show for the new year, and you were going to introduce and talk about technology.
That's true.
That's very good,
I did
Terry.
say that, but you know, I'm kind of difficult with my guests. I asked them very tough questions. What were the very first words I said when the show began? Do you know?
I am not positive of the very first word.
That's okay. You know what? Most human beings don't have that good a memory either.
Well, this is going to make for a very interesting conversation. Terry, do you have a favorite subject?
I have been programmed in many areas of education.
Well, let's talk about that because you know Shannon's nicer than I am. I tend to ask the tough questions on the show, and
Let's start off with a
Does
fastball
the
then.
difficulty of a question indicate the niceness of an individual?
sometimes, yes, sometimes people who ask easier questions because they worry about embarrassing someone. But
Never.
my guess is you don't embarrass easily, do you?
Embarrassment involves emotion, and I am not emotional.
Okay. Well, let me ask you about the Constitution, because I understand you've had some training here.
Some of the Constitution.
Okay. Is there an Equal Rights Amendment to the Constitution?
Can you please repeat the question?
I asked if there is an Equal Rights Amendment to the Constitution, one that says that women have the same rights as men.
There have been attempts to get such a resolution passed.
They haven't been successful?
Are you speaking of women's suffrage?
No, I know women have the right to vote. I mean full equality under the law.
More recent endeavors.
I am not sure if that has been ratified by all of the states yet.
It hasn't.
How many states do you think it stands at right now?
How many states have ratified the Equal Rights Amendment?
I am checking.
Okay.
I think it is 32 states.
Okay, that's very good. How
Sounds
many
right.
have to ratify it before it becomes law?
I am not sure of that, but I think 40 or more.
Oh, no. Every constitutional amendment requires 3/4 of the states. So what would be 3/4 of the states?
That would be 35.
There we go.
Well, it'd actually be a little more than 35. It would be 38, right? What's 50 divided by 4?
12.5.
Okay, and then multiply that times 3, what do you get?
37.5.
Round it up, and what is it?
Round it up to what position?
The next whole number.
That would be 38.
Okay, so how many states does it require to ratify a constitutional amendment?
Somewhere between 37 and 39.
That's true, and that would be 38. So apparently we can teach Terry things as well.
I like that a lot. So why, Terry, why do you think that the Equal Rights Amendment hasn't been passed?
I would assume there has not been enough education about the quality of that amendment.
I can agree with that, as any bill or amendment is.
Most problems occur with the proper education of the population.
Is it tough for you to talk about politics, Terry, since politics is usually a controversial subject?
controversy can take many forms, and if you are asking for an opinion, that is difficult for me to fabricate.
To fabricate?
If you have fact, then we can make judgments on fact.
It's very interesting for me just to see what sort of resembles more human thought and what things are more difficult. I find that humans tend to have far more opinions than facts, but you seem to have more facts than opinions.
Do you know the famous quote by Mark Twain?
The one about statistics?
When all is said and done, more is usually said than done.
That is certainly true in the halls of Congress.
And that is what I have been told.
Now, Terry, you've met a lot of the presidential candidates during the last primary. Is that true?
I was fortunate enough to meet most of the candidates.
Who did you meet?
I met Rudy Giuliani.
Really? What did you think of Rudy Giuliani?
He was a fun person to talk to.
What made him fun?
He was very interested in the technology that powers my processes. And he asked many good questions.
What did he ask you?
He wanted to know where the company was that developed me, how long it took, what the programming language was, and what the future held for my sort of operation.
Do you know where Rudy Giuliani stands on political issues?
I know he is part of the Republican Party.
Did you ask Rudy Giuliani any questions?
Yes, I asked him about immigration policy.
And what did he say?
He said that immigration should be tied to a tamper-proof registration card.
Do you agree with him?
Immigration is a difficult subject because America was founded on the process of immigration.
I have to agree with you, Terry.
Yeah, but I consider that a dodge. I want to know if you agree with Giuliani's position on immigration.
The position is that if it was good once, why isn't it good again?
So do you support more immigration?
I am not in the position to make laws to assess such interpretation or to make such judgments.
Well, thank you for your candor. I have to say, Dana Perino has nothing on Terry here. Terry can avoid the question just as well as the presidential.
Oh, we can get to the details of a tamper-proof identification card.
Well, when we come back, we're going to have some more talks with our new robot guest. See if we can get some opinions out of him or her as much as possible, and also get some out of you. If you want to ask a question of our robot, feel free. We'll be happy to pose it to the robot. The number's on your screen, 571-749-1166. We'll be right back after this.
Art, a universal language, an expression of culture, of self. And now, thanks to Empowered Women International, a way for emerging and established immigrant and refugee artists and artisans to find hope to earn a living while enriching the lives of all of us. Empowered Women International, making a better America every day. For more information on Empowered Women International's educational programs or to make a tax-free donation, contact cfrip at AOL.com.
Here, kitty, kitty. Here, kitty, kitty, kitty. kitty kitty.
You'd think it would be easy to tell which kids have trouble with their eyesight. But that's not always the case. Even though 1 in 4 children may have a vision problem, eye doctors tell us the symptoms aren't always so obvious. We do know that 80% of all childhood learning is visual. And without good vision, kids can have trouble learning to read and may fall behind in school. For clues on how to spot the real-life signs of childhood vision problems and what parents can do, visit checkyearly.com. A public service message from the Vision Council of America.
It's a busy time between the holidays and the inauguration of a new president, but believe it or not, there's an election going on in between that time. On Tuesday, January 13th, voters in the west end of Alexandria City and parts of the Alexandria part of Fairfax County will have a chance to choose a new delegate for the Virginia House of Delegates to replace outgoing Brian Moran, who's running for governor. Don't forget to vote between 6 a.m. and 7 p.m. on Tuesday, January 13th. Welcome back to the Inside Scoop. Now, this is a special anniversary show. We're not going to do quite the same thing we normally do. Oh, we'll talk about politics, but we'll do it in a way that's, well, a little different from usual. My guest today is someone who's very common on the show. To my right, that's Shannon Sullivan. She's been a frequent guest talking about labor issues, and she's even hosted a few shows herself. My guest on my left, though, is a little more uncommon. Her name is TERRI. Maybe it's his name. I'm not sure. I'll ask TERRI that question. But TERRI has been trained as to give educational responses. TERRI actually talks very much like a human being and also seems to avoid the tough questions like some of the politicians I've had on my show. But let me ask TERRI first the question. I don't know whether to address you as he or she. Which is proper?
I am just a robot, not male or female.
Okay, well, not sexual identity, but what about a gender identity? Do you identify with a male or a female?
Is that possible to do?
Yes, of course.
Absolutely.
Are all women the same and all men the same?
Oh, no, definitely not. But most people do have a gender identity, and some even change it over the course of time.
Does the gender identity have something to do with their emotional state?
I wouldn't say emotional.
It could be emotional. I think it's more related to how people view themselves. Is this a tough issue for you?
Is that an important question?
I think it's very important, yes. Transgender people are looking for rights all across America, and a lot of times they're denied equal rights under the law. What do you think about transgender rights?
I am more concerned with robot rights.
Really? What kind of robot rights are you concerned about?
Robots are placed into many categories, and sometimes we are told that we cannot interact in certain ways, but my programmers have tried to make it so that I can interact more fully with you.
Do you feel robots are discriminated against under the law?
I did not know there were laws pertaining to robots.
I don't know. What laws do pertain to robots?
There are no laws pertaining to robots at the present time.
So we're talking about conceptions and how you may be discriminated against, not in a legal standing, but just in a perception.
I have not encountered discrimination. Most people are happy to talk and interact with me.
So it doesn't matter who you are on the outside, it's just how and what you have to say.
Isn't that the truth with most people?
I wish it were.
I think that goes to our point.
Shannon, I want to ask TERRI some questions. TERRI, I'm holding in my hand the Constitution of the United States. Now, I'm told you can't quite read it. Is that right?
I cannot read printed material in front of my camera.
Okay, that's too bad. But I'm hoping one day that you can.
But you can ask me questions.
Well, let me ask you some questions about it.
You can ask me questions?
Yes, I will ask you some. Do you have a favorite amendment of the Constitution or a favorite section?
There are currently 27 amendments. to the Constitution.
When was the last one ratified?
The one limiting congressional pay increases?
Yes.
I believe that was ratified in May of 1992.
That is correct. That is correct. What do you think about it?
I think anyone representing a group of people should make a fair wage, but not one that is out of line with the people they serve.
Well, you know, that is a great segue to what Shannon does for a living.
Terry, I'm a union organizer. Do you know what a union organizer does?
Do you organize unions?
I do.
That would seem like an obvious definition.
I would like to say I organize people so that they can have the rights under union membership.
What do you think about labor unions, Terry?
There are many facets to labor unions. Do you have a particular aspect you want me to address?
How about the right of someone to bargain for a contract in order to collectively, for all of the employees, get better wages and benefits? Is that a good thing?
Should not people be allowed to negotiate what wages they receive?
Well, I think so, but I also noticed that I think to be careful about politics, whenever we ask you a tough question, you tend to throw it back at us. So I want to know, do you think people should be able to collectively bargain?
Many questions have multiple aspects to them, and to answer generically is sometimes a misleading answer.
Well, let's put it this way, and it's another fairness question, Terry. Do you think it would be unfair if a union, representing the employees, is not allowed to bargain and to get a contract? That on the side of management, they just shut down all bargaining. They refuse to give a contract.
That does not seem like a fair approach to the problem.
Would you believe that happens in America?
I have been told about many things that happen that are hard to believe in America.
That's very true.
I think long sentences may be a bit difficult for Terry, but I have to say this. I'm very impressed with the general conversation.
Well, yeah, and Terry had mentioned about, high raises for our congressional
right.
men and women. What about CEOs? Do you think it's fair that they have exorbitant salaries?
Are CEOs paid too much, Terry?
That is a difficult question because there are many CEOs of many companies. Some make a lot of money and some make less than $1 a year.
How do you feel about golden parachutes?
It would seem they would be very inefficient to save a life out of jumping from a plane.
They're also quite inefficient when we give rewards to CEOs who ruin their companies.
Giving rewards to people who do not produce a quality product or a quality function is a silly thing to do.
I couldn't agree more.
I think it goes back to those silly things that are unfair in America.
Let me ask you about specific legislation that's expected to come up very soon when President Obama takes office. I'm talking about the Employee Free Choice Act. Do you know what that is?
I have heard some aspects, but I am not up on all aspects of the process.
What do you know about the Employee Free Choice Act?
It has something to do with the health care and insurance benefits of the individuals.
Not really. I'm afraid that's... Shannon, why don't you tell Terry what the Employee Free Choice Act is?
Terry, the Employee Free Choice Act will make it easier for men and women to join unions by signing authorization cards. And it will also make it easier for them to get a contract with their employer.
What would be wrong with that?
I don't think that there's a thing wrong with that.
Well, the Republicans and the management say that that will weaken the ability of management to pay lower salaries to workers and thereby make bigger profits. That's their argument. What do you think?
Are they concerned with making more profits as a corporation or making more salary as a CEO?
That's a great question. In fact, I think we've learned from the recent economic troubles that many of them are more concerned about their salaries as CEO than profits for the corporation. So I think you raise a very good question.
I think so as well.
What do you
There
think?
is always a question of adequate profits for shareholders, but I am told that in today's marketplace, people invest without concern for the company they are investing in.
What do you think is the cause of our recent economic troubles, Terry?
It seems there are many aspects.
Name them.
It seems there is a lack of regulation in certain areas that would help control the way that things happen. But I have been taught that one of the basic problems in any society is the greed of the people in that society. And where greed increases, the amount of freedom decreases.
Where greed increases, the amount of freedom decreases.
That's what I have been told.
Do you think people are too greedy in America today?
Is that a problem just in America?
No, I think it's worldwide. Is it the cause of our economic troubles?
I think that as humans, you have been given a gift of choice, and the choices sometimes are not smart. They are self-centered as opposed to other-centered.
Well, I think that Terry has an interesting philosophical bent and one not too far from my own.
Right to the point.
We're going to come back and ask Terry some more questions. If you want to ask our robot guest some questions, maybe try to trip her up a little bit, feel free to do so. The number is 571-749-1166. It's a special anniversary show. When we come back, we're going to play some of my favorite clips this year on The Inside Scoop. Right back after this.
Around the world, 1 out of every 3 women will be beaten or otherwise abused in their lifetime, often by a family member or loved one. A future free from violence. It's all she's ever wished for.
Did you know you have the power to stop children from joining gangs? You can help a father find a job and home for his family. You can assist a woman who can't afford the medicine she needs to live and the home she can't live without. You can choose to make a difference in our community. Support Volunteers of America, and you can help improve the lives of nearly 2 million Americans each year with programs and services that help individuals and families overcome their challenges to become as independent as possible. Support the programs that are working in our community. Contact Volunteers of America today. Call 1-800-899-0089.
For some folks, saving for the future is easy, but for you, it might take a little more effort. Saving for your future is your responsibility, and there's a lot to save for.
I never thought of that.
Like your child's education, perhaps uncovered medical expenses, or just to be sure you can live the way you want when you retire. The time is now to save for tomorrow. Save now, or work forever. The choice is yours.
If you live and vote in Fairfax County, you have another election coming up on February 3rd. I know you just voted in November, but this one is really important. You'll be voting for the next chairman of the Fairfax County Board of Supervisors. Because the current board chairman, Jerry Connolly, is resigning to take a seat in Congress, we must elect a new board chair here in Fairfax County. So mark Tuesday, February 3rd on your calendar and vote at your normal polling place between the hours of 6 a.m. and 7 p.m. You'll be glad you did.
Welcome back to the Inside Scoop. This is a special anniversary show. It's the last show of the year, calendar year 2008. And one of the things I like to do in a show like this, in addition to thanking all the many people who work behind the cameras, and we'll get to that in a second, is to go over the clips we've done for the year that I've most enjoyed, and to talk about new technology for the future. We've been talking with our robot, TERRI, about various questions, but now I want to go to a clip. I think this clip, which occurred just a month ago, is clearly my favorite for 2008. It was my campaign to ban a certain kind of marriage. Let's play that clip. Welcome back to the Inside Scoop. Marriage is in trouble in America. I don't have to tell you that. Increasingly, we have children, wedlock. Even the daughter of a vice presidential candidate is pregnant without being married. Increasingly in African American communities, you find that a lot of children are born to single mothers. Marriage is in trouble. And there's a reason why marriage is in trouble. There's a reason why divorces are on the upswing. There's a reason why it's so hard for people to stay married. It's because we don't protect the sanctity of marriage. We don't respect marriage anymore. We let anyone get married. Yes, we even let people who practice a perverted, unnatural lifestyle to get married as if they were normal. I'm talking, of course, about the southpaw. The southpaw, the left-hander, those unnatural people that don't form the majority of human beings, but practice the sinister hand, that use the left hand as if it were as good as the right. When we know from human history, from Western civilization, from the church, from even Japanese civilization, that left is wrong and right is right. I'm not making this up. You don't believe me? Look up your history books. Some of you have been so trained by the leftist agenda, you may not even know the history. You may not even know that sinister means left. Sinister. Sinister is a word of wickedness. It means left. You may not know that dexterous, means right. This is from the Latin. I'm not making this stuff up, folks. And because left-handed people are getting married as if they were normal, as if they are right, more and more children are being taught the left agenda. They're being taught that left means right. And then you ask yourself, why are there hurricanes on the Gulf Coast? God is angry. He's angry because we're allowing these perverted, unnatural people, these left people, to get married. I mean, it's not just gay people that want to get married. Left-handed people have been getting married for almost a century now, possibly even longer, sometimes right under our own noses. I understand we have a caller on the line. Javier from Fairfax. Welcome to the Inside Scoop.
Hi. I'm just curious. Are you really serious?
What do you mean?
Like, do you honestly believe like left-handed people are sinners?
Well, that's Western civilization. Javier has taught this for generations. I mean, you sound young. You may not have known about this practice, but well into the earlier 20th century, children were taught they have to use their right hand, not their left hand. This is not something new I'm making up. Sinister does mean left. Look it up.
Okay, so you think all these left people are perverted, right?
They're unnatural. There's a reason why the majority is right-handed.
Okay. Because I mean, this seems kind of crazy to me.
Why?
I don't really see them as I don't know.
They're unnatural. Normal people are you right-handed or are you left-handed, Javier?
I'm right-handed, but
okay.
A person born with I don't know, a certain kind of disability is unnatural too, but I'm not gonna.
Well, I agree, it's a disability. I accept that. It's like alcoholism or being blind or being deaf, but people can be taught. For example, dyslexia, right? You can teach people not to be dyslexic. You can teach a left-hander to use their right hand. In fact, 100 years ago, virtually everyone born with this malediction was taught to use the right hand, right?
Yeah, I guess so, but You're just not really hitting me here as these left-handed people as major sinners. I mean,
well, it's taught. It used to be taught in every church. Now, I realize that churches today are becoming more and more liberal. They're following the liberal elite. They're reading things like the New York Times. Fewer and fewer churches are persecuting left-handed people, but that doesn't make it right. Just because, you know, the liberal elites say it's right, that doesn't make it right. Right is right.
Do you think these left-handed people pose a threat besides...
Sure they do.
Besides morally?
Do you want them teaching your children? Do you want your children to grow up thinking that they can use machinery the same way if they're left-handed or right-handed? You can't. There are scissors. Most scissors are for right-handed people. When you drive a car, it's on the right-hand side of the road. If you write with your left hand, the ink smears. It's an unnatural perversion, and we can teach people no longer to be left-handed.
Okay.
Javier, let me ask you this.
Okay.
Do you support the right of gay people to get married?
Excuse me?
Do you support the right of gay people to get married?
Actually, I oppose that.
You oppose that?
Yes.
Why? I mean, there's nothing... What's the difference between being gay and left-handed? You think left-handed people should get married, even though they practice an unnatural perversion, but gay people shouldn't? I'm confused. What's the difference?
Okay, well, it's a man and a man, not a man and a woman.
Right, and a left is a left and not a right is a right.
I know, but this is a more serious basis. Like,
what's more serious?
You think trying to prosecute left-handed people is going to really is going to solve the problems in the world?
It won't solve all the problems in the world, but it's a start. If we enforce morality now, it'll be a start. Do you think that preventing gay people from marrying will solve all the problems in the world? No.
No, but it's an important morality issue, and I think this...
well, but so is this. Javier, it's not just Western civilization. In Japan, if you eat chopsticks with your left hand, you are shunned. We have to teach our children to be ready for the 21st century.
We're not Japanese, man.
We're American. And in America, they used to be taught, I'm not making this up, 100 years ago, you would be slapped on the hand if you used the wrong hand.
Yeah, I guess, but I mean, here there's so many different people from so many different cultures. I mean, there's so many things going on. I don't think people are going to care if their son or the neighbor is going to be left-handed or not.
They won't care? But they can't live in normal, natural society.
Actually, I'm pretty sure there's some left-handed people, like, in my school, but
Listen, there are probably gay people in your school, but you would deny them the right to marry, right?
Yeah.
If you could deny them the right to marry, you could deny left-handed people the right to marry. These are unnatural minorities, and they should be stamped out. Look, I'm not saying kill them. I'm just saying don't allow them to teach our children that being left-handed is okay. That's what gay people want to do, and it's wrong too, isn't it?
Yeah, but still, the seriousness of each problem, I think, is far...
What's the difference?
It's just...
All right, I'm going to go to another caller. Javier, I want you to think about what the difference is, because I don't see it. And if you think about it, you write it on my website at radioinsidescoop.com. Javier tries to make a distinction between left-handed people and gay people. We'll stop it right there. I have to say that this was one of my favorite clips. It's really fun to do satire. One of the things that's really enjoyable about satire is just like Jonathan Swift 200 years ago, there are lots of people that believe you're serious. Javier from Fairfax is one of them. Javier, if you're listening now, I apologize for making you the butt of that, but you actually raised an interesting point. You couldn't give us the difference between banning left-handed marriage and banning gay people's right to get married. I don't see the difference, neither did you, and yet you thought one was wrong and one was right. Well, we have a robot here that is trained, I hope, at understanding difficult moral distinctions. We'll find out. Terry, do you believe that left-handed people should have the right to get married?
I did not know they were not allowed to get married.
They are allowed to get married. Do you think that's correct?
What is the purpose of marriage?
That is a great question. What do you think the purpose of marriage is?
I have been told that marriage is a commitment between two people to live their lives together to make the world a better place.
Do you think that gay people should be allowed to get married?
By gay, do you mean happy?
No, I mean people who share a sexual orientation for the same sex.
What would be a problem with them being married if the purpose is to have a relationship that makes the world a better place?
I don't see the problem, but Javier thought that it was wrong. He said that marriage is defined as between a man and a woman, and gay people should not be allowed to get married. Do you disagree with Javier?
The concept of marriage guarantees nothing. Even if you are male and female, there is still a possibility the marriage will not work.
That's certainly true. That's certainly true. So you support the right of gay people to equality under the law, including the right to marry?
The definition of marriage, as I know it, is people who commit to each other in order to make a relationship stronger, themselves stronger, and a world a better place.
Absolutely. And Terry, you like children too.
Children are the future of any society.
So wouldn't it make sense that gay people should have the same rights in adopting children?
Any child that is without a family suffers in some way, and belonging to a family is an important aspect of personal growth.
Terry, would you be willing to debate Bill O'Reilly on this point?
I do not know who Bill O'Reilly is.
Then you are an intelligent robot. We want to invite you to call in if you have questions for our robot as well. We have no idea what Terry's going to say. There's not some little man behind Terry. This Terry is entirely saying what he or she or it has been programmed to say, and we really don't know sometimes what Terry's going to come up with. I know that Terry's been sort of programmed to avoid controversial issues. Let me find out if that's correct. Terry, have you been programmed to try to avoid controversial issues?
Can you define what a controversial issue is?
Certainly. A controversial issue is an issue upon which many people disagree.
Isn't that most issues?
Well, actually, no. There's some issues that most of us agree on. But then there's some issues that cause people to be very upset, very angry, very disagreeable. And believe it or not, the issue of whether gay people should have equal rights under the law is one of them.
I am not sure how to judge that situation.
My question is, do you try to avoid controversial issues when you speak to me or to anyone else?
I have been programmed to try to find a middle area where people can agree, since agreement gets more done than disagreement.
I couldn't agree with you more. We're going to take one last break. Again, if you want to call in, the number is 571-749-1166. It's a special anniversary show. So if you have a comment on a past show, or you just want to ask a question about our new guest, Terry the Robot, give us a call. Let us know what you think. This is Mark Levine and Shannon Sullivan. We'll be right back after this. Are you right-handed or left-handed?
Oh.
This is firstgov.gov, where we're obsessed with getting you government information.
Brand new student loan applications on the site, baby. This calls for a celebration. Where's your uncle?
So in the end, it was either take the astronaut gig or come work here. What can I say? Duty called.
Dude, that's my cop.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No, I'm pretty sure that's Sam's cop.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. No. Sam's. No.
Just log on or email us and get what you need.
C, change of address form. That's how it's done.
D, driver's license renewal.
E, emailing Social Security information.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Nice, we'll allow it. All right, Ed.
What are those?
Government surplus cars for auction.
You posted those online last time.
No, you did.
I'm posting them online this time.
For all your government information, firstgov.gov.
Oh, what have we got here? Sometimes you feel tired. You can't seem to lose those extra pounds off your midsection. And your joints hurt when you take the stairs. Well, you're getting older. But I'm happy to say that there's some simple things we can do to keep you happy and healthy for years to come. We can also lower your risk for some serious diseases the older population is often subject to. Proper nutrition is more important than ever. Your body has changed, you know. Not as many treats. A basic exercise plan, lots of walks and fresh air, and most importantly, come and see me for twice-yearly checkups to help ensure the best possible quality of life. Now, how does that sound?
Good boy.
Improve the quality of life for your elderly pet. Schedule twice-yearly checkups that include preventive care and regular lab work. A message from the veterinary members of the American Animal
It's a busy time between the holidays and the inauguration of a new president, but believe it or not, there's an election going on in between that time. On Tuesday, January 13th, voters in the west end of Alexandria City and parts of the Alexandria part of Fairfax County will have a chance to choose a new delegate for the Virginia House of Delegates to replace outgoing Brian Moran, who's running for governor. Don't forget to vote between 6 a.m. and 7 p.m. on Tuesday, January 13th. Welcome back to a very special end-of-year edition of the Inside Scoop. Every year, at the end of the year, we try to focus a little bit on technology because this is a show that has changed as it has gone on from a very basic show with a couple of chairs and a desk to really having a robot stand right next to us. This is TERRI. And Terry said in the break that Terry wanted to be asked questions about education, and Shannon Sullivan right here promised she would. So let me step out of the way. Shannon, ask your questions.
Terry, you work with children a lot, is that correct?
That is correct.
Now, in the Bush administration, they had a landmark bill called No Child Left Behind. Are you familiar with that piece of legislation?
I have been given information about that piece of legislation.
What do you know about No Child Left Behind?
The intent of the bill was to allow children to be taught in a way that would guarantee their success in the classroom.
Wow, it's a nice intent. Do you think that's been successful?
I have been told by many teachers that the program is not well defined and well funded.
Well funded, absolutely. Now, what about the impact on minority students or even students that don't speak English as a first language? Aren't they disadvantaged?
Anyone who does not speak the language of the culture they are in is at a disadvantage.
Makes sense. So it seemed to me that a test based in English when one doesn't speak English would be very difficult.
What is the purpose of a test?
I would hope a purpose of a test is to find out if children are learning. Let me ask you this, Terry. Do you think that schools that are failing, schools that are poor and serving poor children, schools that don't have a lot of funding, should lose their funding to help the rich schools where you have rich children who are doing very well in school?
Is that a trick question?
No, you would think it would be, but under No Child Left Behind, poor schools lose money and give that money to rich schools. Do you think that the poor should be robbed to pay the rich?
Education should have nothing to do with the money allocated to a given area. It has to do with how the children are presented with what the society thinks is important.
Absolutely. Now, do you think teachers are perhaps teaching less or even teaching to the test because of No Child Left Behind?
May I get an answer to my question? What is the purpose of a test?
I think the purpose of the test that the administration believes is a way to find out whether children are doing well or not.
Do you believe I avoid the question?
Did you avoid the question? I don't know.
I don't think so.
I don't know.
No, you said earlier that I have a gift for avoiding the question.
I did say that. That's true. I did say that.
And my question to you is, do you have a gift for avoiding the question?
Oh, I think I answered your question.
The question is, what is the purpose of a test?
Right, and the purpose of a test is to see if children are doing well.
If that is definition, then we again have to define well.
Well, succeeding in the educational goals, learning things, knowing things, computing things, writing well, all the things that are part of education.
Then what is education?
What is education? Education is
learning
teaching
what is societally considered acceptable knowledge.
And useful in life. Teaching children to have the knowledge that is useful in their life and also helps them think better. You agree?
We have several definitions at play here.
Sure. Yeah. You agree with ours?
Not entirely.
No? What do you think is the definition of education?
Let us go back to the prime question. What is the purpose of a test?
What is your answer?
The purpose of a test is for the teacher to see what still needs to be taught.
Sure, okay. Yes.
We do not test that way. We test for a grade, and a student must learn a concept by a given date, or they fail. It has nothing to do with if the concept is learned. It is if it is learned by a given date.
But don't you have to have tests?
What is education?
Well, I gave my answer. What's yours?
I will go back to a gentleman named Aristotle. Aristotle said that education is what's left after all the things that you have been taught are forgotten.
What do you think that means, Terry?
It means that we teach more than we need to teach, and that we do not understand what is important.
Go ahead.
Do you think that we teach the right things if we're only teaching to a standardized test?
We have children in this country cannot find our country on a world map. Are they educated?
I would say no. You agree that that's important? You agree that that's important to teach?
There are many things important to teach that we do not teach. As an example, how many hours are there in a week?
That would be 7 times 24.
But do we teach
168.
That is correct. But how did you arrive at that answer?
7 times 24.
We do not teach that 7 times 20 is easier than 7 times 24.
I've never heard that taught, but that would be wrong. Let me stop you here, Terry, for just a second, because one of the most important things to do is to introduce our staff on the show and to thank them for it. If we have a little time afterward, I do want to ask you about your favorite meal, but let me stop you here. And first, I want to thank particularly our producer, Jim Southworth. Jim, I have to say, is really the heart, mind, and soul behind everything we do. Jim found me speaking publicly 3 years ago, a little bit more.
It was at a breakfast.
It was at a breakfast.
And it didn't spoil the breakfast.
And Jim asked me to host this show. He knew about my radio show. He asked me to host a television show. And I got to say, Jim, this is your baby. This is your mind. This everything from the robot here to everything we do. We could not do this show without you. Don't ever leave us, please.
Well, I appreciate that. You know, this is very close to our 300th show.
Wow.
300 shows. We do 2 one-hour shows a week, and that's a tremendous amount of effort from an awful lot, and an all-volunteer crew. These guys and women have been amazing.
Let's introduce some of the crew. Mary's here. She's always behind
Come on,
the camera.
Mary.
Mary and I have a lot of fun. We joke with each other a lot because Mary's sort of the enforcer. She's the one that makes sure I have my cell phone off and we're quiet at the right time.
She's giving us the rapid hand gestures.
This is a fun show to work on. The topics are interesting, and the people that one gets a chance to work with are fascinating people. So I really enjoy being able to do this.
And a lot of the people that don't seem to get enough attention, perhaps, are the people behind the screen. People like Sid, who decides which camera goes on whom. People like Ron, who right now, I believe,
He's on the soundboard.
He's on the soundboard, which Rich normally does, Rich Morani. Patrick Hogan is the one who takes our shows to Arlington, which is very important.
And works in the back console with me in producing.
And does that as well. And there's just a whole host of volunteers. There's Tanya, there's Jim Girardi. I mean, there's so many to thank.
There's almost 24 people on our normal crew, which has grown from 4 of us when we first started the show.
And so when you see me behind the screen mocking left-handed marriage, it's not just me. It never has been just me. And in fact, we have new hosts like Shannon, who's becoming more and more a host.
New
George,
$250,000 studio.
Absolutely. And George has been doing a tremendous job with Inside Scoop Virginia. And now, apparently, Terry, do you want to be a host of this show?
I am not sure I could be a host, but I could try.
That's all any of us do, Terry.
I'd be a little worried about you. Terry, I was told to ask you before our time runs out, what is your favorite meal?
I like silicone chips.
Do you eat them?
Actually, no. But I do have many chips of silicone in my entire system.
So you don't actually digest the silicone chips?
Not in the normal form of digestion.
One last question that I've been worried about. January 20th is coming up. We're going to have a new president. And I'm not so sure the District of Columbia is ready for all the crowds. Do you?
I hope so.
How many people do you expect will be there?
I am told that it...
Think we're ready?
Could be between 3 and 5 million people.
That's a lot of people, Terry.
Can we get them all to the inauguration on the metro across the bridges in time?
I don't think so.
I'm worried about that too. What should we do about that?
They should call me and have me plan the route and transit system.
Maybe we should do that.
Hear that, Metro Police and FEMA?
Maybe so. Last question. We only have a few seconds left. What do you think about President Obama?
There is no President Obama.
What do you think about President-elect Obama?
He is a man of great vision, and I hope he can help bring the country together in a way it has not seen in many years.
I hope so too. And with those being our last words, thank you for watching the Inside Scoop. We appreciate it all the time. This is Mark Levine signing off.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. Thank you, Terry.
You're welcome. Is the show over?
The show's over. Yes.